A system of atomic habits. If you are having trouble changing your habits, the problem isn't you. The problem is your system. Bad habits repeats themselves again and again, not because you don't want to change, but because you have the wrong system for change. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your system. Focusing on overall system rather than a single goal is one of the core themes of this book. It is also one of the deeper meaning behind the word atomic. By now, you have probably realized that the atomic habit refers to tiny change, marginal gain, and 1% improvement. But atomic habits are not just any other old habits. However small. नहीं गलत पढ़ा है फिर से पढ़ो. But atomic habits are also just any old habits, however small. They are little habits that are part of the larger system. Just as atoms are the building blocks of molecules, atomic habits are the building blocks of remarkable result. Habits are like the atom of our lives. Each one is a fundamental unit that contributes to your overall improvement. At first, this tiny routine seems insignificant, but soon they build on each other and fuel bigger wins that multiply to a big degree that far outweighs the cost of their initial investment. They are both small and mighty. This is meaning of the phrase atomic. This is the meaning of the phrase atomic habits, a regular practice or routine that is not only small and easy to do, but also the source of incredible power, a component of the system of a compound growth. तो चैप्टर समरी है हैबिट्स आर द कंपाउंड इंटरेस्ट ऑफ सेल्फ इम्प्रूवमेंट गेटिंग 1% better every day counts for a lot in a long run. Habits are double edged sword. They can work for you or against you, which is why understanding the details is essential. Small charges often appear to make no difference until you cross a critical threshold. The most powerful outcomes of any compounding process are delayed. You need to be patient. An atomic habit is a little habit that is part of a large system. Just as atoms are the building blocks of molecule, atomic habits are building blocks of remarkable result. If you want better result, then forget about setting goals. Focus on your system instead. You do not rise to the level of your goal, you fall to the level of your system. Now chapter 2 begins. How your habits shape your identity and vice versa. Why is it so easy to repeat bad habits and so hard to form good ones? Few things can have a more powerful impact on your life than improving your daily habits, and at it is likely that this time next year you will be doing the same thing rather than something better. It often feels difficult to keep good habits going for more than a few days, even with sincere effort and the occasional burst of motivation. Habits like exercise, meditation, journaling, cooking for reasonable for a day or two then become a hassle. However, once your habits are established, they seem to stick around forever, especially the unwanted one. Despite our best intentions, unhealthy habits like eating junk food, watching too much television, procrastinating, and smoking can feel impossible to break. Changing our habits is challenging for the two reasons. We try to change the wrong thing. We try to change our habits in a wrong way. In this chapter, I will address the first point. In the chapter that follow, I will answer the second. Our first mistake is that we try to change the wrong thing. To Understand what I mean? Consider that there are three levels, and this is the three levels. There are three levels at which change can occur. You can imagine them like the layers of an onion. The first layer is changing your outcome. The level is concerned with changing your result. Losing weight, publishing a book, winning a championship. Most of the goals you set are associated with the level of change. The second layer is changing your process. This level concerned with changing your habit and system, implementing a new routine at a gym, decluttering your desk for better workflow, developing a meditation practice. Most of the habits you build are associated with this level. The third and the deepest layer is changing your identity. The level concerned with changing your beliefs, your worldview, your self-image, your judgments about yourself and others. Most of the beliefs, assumption, and bias you hold are associated with this level. Outcome are about with you get. Process are about what you do. Identity is about what you believe. Once more, outcomes are about what you get. Process are about what you do. Identity is about what you believe. When it comes to building habits that last, when it comes to building a system of 1% improvements, the problem is not that one level is better of us than other. All levels are change are useful in their own way. The problem is the direction of change. Many people begin the process of changing their habits by focusing on what they want to achieve. This leads us to outcome based habit. The alternative is to build identity based habit. With this approach, we start by focusing on who we wish to become. It's about who. With this approach, we start by focusing on who we wish to become. Who we wish to become. Outcome based habit, identity based habit. These are imagine, 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 imagine two people resisting a cigarette. When offered a smoke, the first person says, "No thanks, I am trying to quit. Quit. I am trying to quit." It sounds like reasonable response, but this person still believes they are a smoker who is trying to be something else. They are hoping their behavior will change while carrying around the same beliefs. The second person declines by saying, "No thanks, I am not a smoker." It's a small difference, but this statement signals a shift in identity. Smoking was part of their former life, not their current one. They are no longer identified as someone who smokes. Most people don't even consider identity change when they set out to improve. They just think, "I want to be skinny." Outcome. And if we stick to this diet, then I will be skinny. Process. They set goals and determine the action they should take to achieve those goals without considering the belief that drive their action. They never shift the way they look at themselves, and they don't realize that their old identity can sabotage sabotage their new plans for change. Behind every system of actions are system of beliefs. The system of democracy is founded on beliefs like freedom, majority rule, and social equality. The system of a dictatorship has a very different set of beliefs, like absolute authority and strict obedience. You can you can imagine many ways to try to get more people to vote in a democracy, but such behavior change would never get off the ground in the dictatorship. That's not the identity of the system. Voting is a behavior that is impossible under a certain set of beliefs. A similar pattern exists whether we are discussing individual or organizing or societies. There are set of beliefs and assumptions that shape. There are set of beliefs and assumptions that shape the system and identity behind the habits behavior that is incongruent with the self will not last. Behavior that is incongruent with the self will not last. You may want more money, but if your identity is someone who consumes rather than creates, then you will continue to be pulled toward spending rather than earning. You may want better health, but if you continue to prioritize comfort over accomplishment, you will be drawn to relaxing rather than training. It's hard to change your habits if you never change the underlying beliefs that led to your past behavior. You have a new goal and new plan, but you haven't changed who you are. The story of Brian Clark, an entrepreneur from Boulder, Colorado, provides a good example. For as long as I can remember, I have chewed my fingernails. Clark told me it started as nervous habit when I was young and then moved into an undesirable grooming ritual. One day I resolved to stop chewing my nails until they grew out a bit. Through mindful willpower alone, I managed to do it. Then Clark did something surprising. I asked my wife to schedule my first ever manicure. He said, my thought was that if I started paying to maintain my nails, I wouldn't chew them. And it worked, but not for the monetary reason. What happened was the manicure made my fingers look really nice for the first time. The manicurist even said that other than the chewing, I had really healthy, attractive nails. Suddenly, I was proud of my fingers, nail, and even thought that something I had never aspired to, I made all the difference. I never chewed my nails since, not even a single close call. And it's because I now take pride in properly caring for them. The ultimate form of intrinsic motivation is when habit becomes part of your identity. It's one thing to say, I am type of person who wants this. It's something very different to say, I am the type of person, I am the type of person who is this. The more pride you have in the particular aspect of your identity, the more motivated you will be to maintain the habits associated with it. If you are proud of how your hair looks, you will develop all sorts of habits to care for and maintain it. If you are proud of the size of your biceps, you will make sure you never skip an upper body workout. If you are proud of your scarves you knit, you will be more likely to spend hours knitting each week. Once your pride gets involved, you will fight tooth and nail to maintain your habits. True behavior change is identity change. You might start a habit because of motivation, but the only reason you will stick with one is that it becomes part of your identity. Anyone can convince themselves to visit the gym or eat healthy once or twice, but if you don't shift the belief behind the behavior, then it is hard to stick with the long term change. Improvements are only temporary until they become a part of who you are. The goal is not to read a book, the goal is to become a reader. The goal is not to run a marathon, the goal is to become a runner. The goal is not to learn an instrument, the goal is become a musician. Your behavior are usually a reflection of your identity. What, what you do is an indication of the type of person believe that you are, either consciously or non-consciously. Research has shown that once a person believes in a particular aspect of their identity, they are more likely to act in alignment with the belief. For example, people who identified as a being a voter were more likely to vote than those who simply claimed voting was an action they wanted to perform. Similarly, the person who incorporates exercise into their identity doesn't have to convince themselves to train. Doing the right thing is easy. After all, when your behavior and your identity are fully aligned, you are no longer pursuing behavior change. You are simply acting like the type of person you already believe yourself to be. Like all aspects of habits formation, this too is the double edged sword. Double edged sword. When working for you, identity change can be powerful force for self improvement. When working against you through identity change can be curse. Once you have adopted an identity, it can be easy to let your elegance to it impact your ability to change. Many people walk through life in a cognitive slumber, blindly following the norms attached to their identity. I am terrible with direction, I am not morning person, I am a bad remembering people names, I am always late, I am not good with technology, I am horrible at math, and a thousand other variations. When you have repeated a story to yourself for years, it is easy to slide into these mental groups and accept them as a fact. In time, you begin to resist certain actions because that's not who I am. There is internal pressure to maintain your self image and behave in a way that is consistent with your beliefs. You find whatever way you can to avoid contradicting yourself. The more deeply a thought or action is tied to your identity, the more difficult it is to change it. It can feel comfortable to believe that your culture beliefs, group identity, or to do what upholds your self image, personal identity. Even if it's wrong, the biggest barrier to positive change at any level, individual, team, society, is identity conflict. Good habits can make rational sense, but if they conflict with your identity, you will fall to put them into action. On any given day, you may struggle with your habits because you are too busy, or too tired, or too overwhelmed, or hundreds of other reasons. Over the long run, however, the real reason you fail to stick with habits is that your self image gets in the way. This is why you can't get too attached to one version of your identity. Program requires unlearning, becoming a best version of yourself. requires you to continuously edit your belief and to upgrade and expand your identity. This brings us to an important question. If your beliefs and world view play such an important role in your behavior, where do they come from in the first place? How exactly is your identity formed, and how can you emphasize new aspect of your identity that serve you and gradually erase the pieces that hinder you?